and welcome back to Wheelspin TV, and today we're going to be doing a part 2 to a how to drift with a wheel on Forza 4. Now I've got loads of subscribers and loads of views on my last video, so all I'm going to say is thank you to each and every single one of you who has hit that subscribe button and commented on my last video. It's made a big difference to my channel. I've almost doubled in subscribers since then. Now I thought I'd do a follow-up video to that one because I had a lot of questions and I could go into a little bit more depth. Now, because of the success of that video, I am going to do sort of a drift series where I'm going to be going through how to set up drift cars, top 10 drift cars, you know, pro tips on drifting with a wheel, etc, etc. So please hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and you'll see plenty more like this. Now, on the first video I showed you all of the basics on how to drift. Now I will share that code, the link in the description, and I also had a car set up which is the 1992 Silvia Club KS. I've now since done 4 other tunes with the car, ranging in power and different geometry settings, etc. Now, first things first, like I said in the last video, one of the biggest things I see in most videos where people are not really talking about with drifting on a wheel is the wheel settings. Now I will show you mine, and these are really important to how you drift. Now it is personal preference, but to get into them, you go into your controller settings, you hit your right paddle, and then you hit the little button with the 3 lines. That takes you into your advanced settings. Now I don't have any dead zones on my wheel. Every part of this wheel movement I want active. Steering linearity is bang in the middle. That is accuracy near full lock and center. The clutch acceleration, again, no dead zones. The clutch I have 10 and 80. The Ebrake is on my right paddle because I've got a shifter, but otherwise you'll be hitting your B button. And these are really the important ones down the bottom. Now in the drift for beginners, I said 630 to 690. I do use 720. Now if you're new to a wheel, definitely suggest that you actually go from somewhere between 630 and 720. Yes, you can go higher. I do sometimes put it higher, but I just find 720 is the absolute sweet spot for me. Force feedback minimum scale, and these ones are really important to how your wheel is actually going to feel, obviously, but the way it reacts to what the car is doing. Number one important one for me when drifting is the center spring scale. I have this at 115, and this is what allows your wheel to follow what the slide is doing. So you'll see in a moment that when I turn the car and I start drifting, my wheel will naturally itself turn into the drift, and then it's little bits of adjustments from there. Now feel free to take screenshots and put these on your wheel. It will be personal preference. Stuff like force feedback scale and your wheel damper scale, they're going to be personal preference, but this is what suits me. And if you're on a G920 or a G29, these settings will feel quite a bit stronger on your wheel for some reason. So what I suggest is dropping down each score by about 5 or 10 points, and adjusting it from there. But if you're struggling with wheel setup, have a good read of what it says in the description on the right hand box, and you can't really go wrong. It took me a few months to actually get my settings how I liked them. I used to go out to my actual car, drive my car, come back, vice versa, until I got it how I wanted it. But this is really important to drifting, how to drift. Now, again, in my first video, I went through all of this, but for any viewers who don't want to skip back to that one, and you already know how to drift, then this video is going to be about tips, some of the comments from the last video, and showing you some better skills to then progress with. Second of all, car settings. Now again, in the description I will put the 4 tunes that I've done for this car, and again they're all ranging in power. Now my drift cars I tend to have 28 psi, some are anywhere between 27 and 30 psi on the front, and anywhere sort of 20 to 25 on the back, depending on grip levels of what I want. Now I did do another video on how to grip tune. Now go and watch that video, look at the maths, and apply that to your damping, your springs, and your anti-roll bar. The difference being with a drift car, which I will go more into depth with my how to tune out drift cars, really is your differential settings and your alignment and your brakes. Now, whilst we're on alignment, we'll stay here. Now, max camber on the front, negative camber. On the back, this can range from sort of 1 to 2 max. So don't really stray outside of those figures. Toe out will give you more angle. Anything over 2 will cause the car to actually have a dead spot in its steering, so it'll be a poor car for fun use on the road. But if you're just drifting on needlepoint or solely using it for a drift car, then you can go above 2. I tend to float between 1.5 and 2.5 depending on the car. Toe out on the back. Toe out will allow the back end to sling itself around a bit more. Toe in will actually give you more grip. Front caster angle, keep that on maximum. Now, anti-roll bars, springs and damping, there is maths and that is in my video. Again, I'll leave a link to the description. Now, if you want more grip in the back, you soften it off. If you want more grip in the front, you soften it off, and that applies to springs, damping, etc. Braking, typical Forza logic. I have adjusted it to the rear. So you think, oh, the brakes on the back are going to brake more. No, it's the complete opposite. I've got it 35% to the rear, which means I'm actually 65%. All of my braking is on the front wheels only, which allows me to left foot brake a lot better, still maintaining good wheel spin and keeping that drift going. I'd leave the braking force as it is. Differential settings. Your acceleration is when it locks up. So if you've got a car that isn't quite pushing out wide enough and you've had to go with your alignment and your tyre pressures, if you turn your diff up, this will create more lock, pushing the back end around more. If your car is too slidey and it just doesn't, it just tends to stay out and spin instantly, try dropping your acceleration down to about 60 or 5 points between 80 to 60 and keep adjusting till then. Your deceleration, I tend to have half of whatever my acceleration is. When I come off of that throttle, I want the diff at the back to unlock and then catch grip. If I want it to spin up again, I just hit the throttle and that creates more drift. But when I want grip, I want it there and then. I don't want to have to take my foot off the throttle and carry on sliding for ages. I've got a handbrake to do that with. I don't need my diff to do that. So there's just an overview over your settings. Now, I only drift in rear wheel drive. There is a big argument between four wheel drive drifting and rear wheel drive drifting. I will call the four wheel drive power sliding. There isn't any four wheel drive cars in drift championships, but if that's what you enjoy, have fun. I don't care what you get up to. I don't see the point in arguing about it either. If you like four wheel drifting, you're going to have some fun. Personally, I want to keep it to the rear wheels. Now, in my last video, I got quite a few questions regarding my steering inputs, my braking throttle, what car was this, what settings are they, etc, etc. Now you've obviously seen my settings already. Also got quite a few saying help, I keep spinning, what am I doing wrong? And today I'm just going to go over that before we get into some progressive skill teaching. So first of all, how to maintain a drift. Now I've come to the roundabout at the top of the map. I'll show you here. This is a good place to learn how to maintain a slide, because we just keep going around in circles and circles. Now I don't actually use this view, I use this cockpit view, but for the purpose of the video I'll show you in the car. Now maintaining a drift is all about throttle and steering. Now, if you've got the correct steering wheel settings, when you power slide your car, your steering wheel is going to want to turn itself, like there. It wanted to turn itself. It didn't just stay dead, if you like. Now that's down to center spring, force feedback, torque alignment, etc, etc. Wheel damper is obviously the amount that you put into it. Now, maintaining a drift is all about nice balance between control of your steering wheel, counter steering, and your throttle. So if I clutch kick it in, my wheel turns, and all I'm doing is I'm going to keep adding power to push the back end around. I'm going to turn into the roundabout or into the direction I'm going to push the back end wider, because obviously that's less counter steering. And then when I want to catch the back end, I want grip. I want the back end to grip up, not to spin. I'm letting off my throttle, so I'm giving less throttle, and I'm letting the wheel turn in. See? I'm letting the wheel turn in so it catches the drift. I'm going to do it exaggerated. Obviously you want to do it smooth inputs, but I want you to see how I'm doing it. So I stab the throttle, off the throttle, want to catch grip. Obviously they're not clean drifts, but I want you to see the difference. When I'm coming off the throttle, the back end wants to start gripping up. Sticker in fourth. Just little dabbles, little pushes. I'm turning into the roundabout, adding throttle to push the back end out. I'm coming off of the throttle and counter steering to actually catch the drift. Now that is how you maintain a drift. Now do not be worried about spinning out and whatever. Everyone spins. Whenever I warm up, I'm always spinning. It's what drifters do. So don't worry, don't get stressed. And this is a skill, people. So don't think after 2 days of doing this, like, to give up, because this literally took me 3 months to perfect. Not even to perfect, you're always going to get better and better, but 3 months to get where I was happy with my progression and my drifting. And I did get to the point where I just wanted to take the wheel back, sling it in the cupboard or forget about it. But just keep with it. Now what I'm going to do, my recording device doesn't like the dark, and in the game it's starting to get a little bit dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in a second once it's brightened up again. Right, so we're back to the car park, and I've jumped in my RB26 engine version of this. Again, there is a share code, and I'll put all of the share codes in the description. Now don't be afraid to obviously start at the lowest setting if you're new to drifting with a wheel, and then work up through the tuning settings that I'll share. The first one is 460 something horsepower, then up to 570, then this one is 790, and then I've got a 1000 odd brake horsepower V8 one. Now a few of the problems that I always come across is people using cars that are too powerful when they're learning to drift. But I'm going to take it that you've watched my first drift video, you know how to do throttle control, steering control, etc. Again, I've answered the questions that I've seen before with like steering input and stuff, but we will obviously talk about that more going into the rest of this video. Now, a few techniques that you need to know on top of that, on top of steering, throttle, handbrake, gears and etc. settings, is left foot braking, and why you're going to use your handbrake and stuff like that, dragging it, extending your drifts, etc. etc. Now again, if you are okay at keeping your drifts going and you can do laps of the roundabout, then what we'll do is we'll learn left foot braking. So I'm going to use this car park just so you know where it is on the map. I'll show you now. So the left hand side, just to the left of Mortimer Gardens. Little car park, it's a good little area, no traffic, etc. to play about. Now what we'll do, we'll jump in a second, I'm going to clutch kick it, and what we'll do, we'll just literally go around this square. Oh, that was awful. What we're going to do is left foot brake into the apex, keeping our foot on the throttle, up and down, adjusting more throttle. But when we want to slow the car down, we'll just left foot brake and bring it into the apex. Basically, you can just hold on to the brake and do a rolling burnout sideways. The left foot brake is really useful for slowing the car down and being able to pinpoint where you want that nose of the car. Now, once you've got good at that, you can then start doing your figure of eight. So use your left foot brake for transitions, and then push the other way out. I'm going to use my left foot brake to slow down. Off the throttle, a little bit more left foot brake, let the transition be smooth, and then come back around the other way. Now if you watch my steering screen, when I'm transitioning, I'm going to let the wheel do its own thing and just basically stop it where I want it and just add more throttle. Now, wheel spin, everyone spins, so don't get annoyed by it. Left foot brake, nice easy transition. Add more throttle to push the back end around. Use the left foot brake to slow us down. Transist, come back around. Left foot brake in, slow it right down. I want to hit that apex. Again, to practice your left foot braking, just keep going around and around one of these squares, left and right, until you're comfortable both ways. Just slow it down so you basically hit each corner. We'll clutch kick it the other way. Slow down for this nice little U-bend here. Clutch kick. Oh, too much. We got it. That's basics of left foot braking. Now what we'll do, we'll jump over to Fortune Island and we'll put a load of these skills to practice, and I'll show you how to drag your handbrake. Okay, so we're in Fortune Island. If you haven't got Fortune Island and you love drifting, then I would suggest getting it. It is worth it, even if it is just for Needle Point, because it is the best drift zone on the game. Now you do get around about 10 million, I think it is, for doing finding the mystery cars, the barn finds, and there is a lot of other roads you can drive around. If you like off-roading, it's pretty good as well, but mainly I use this just for the drift circuit. Now this drift zone is nice and long, and what we need to do is, only we're going to need to use throttle control, steering control, handbrake, clutch, kick in, the rest of it. Some of these corners are quite long, so what we're going to need to do is actually drag the drifts out if we're going to be cutting them too early. And what I'm going to do is I'll jump into my other view, so don't actually use this view, and we'll go from there. I want to talk you through what I'm doing. So I've just clutch kicked it, clutch and handbrake in, blip the throttle off the clutch, I'm left foot braking to grab that apex. That was awful. Clutch kick back out, so that was bad. Handbrake in, braking in, slowing down the left foot brake, letting it transfer on the steering again, left foot braking, letting the steering go, left foot braking, let the steering go. Then we're going to throttle through, nice long bend, into fifth, loads more wheel speed. Again, no left foot brake, this is all throttle. Into third, a bit of left foot braking to smoothen that transition, hit the apex, up into fourth, nice long right hand bend coming, dip the brake to let that be a smooth transition. Handbrake, clutch kick, push myself back around, through, I'm going to try and get up to the outside, and handbrake through this. Into third, left foot brake in for a nice smooth transition, handbrake, holding it, extending it, clutch kick, power back out, into fourth, clutch in, clutch kick. I'm going to try and hit this lamppost on the right hand side, no, missed it, handbrake in. What I'm going to do is handbrake most of this one, into third, clutch kick, loads of wheel speed into fourth, let it spin the back end out, oh, come off the throttle there, back in, into third, handbrake in, right foot brake in to slow me down whilst I had the clutch in, and then obviously accelerating out the rest of it. Handbraking in, clutch kick, left foot brake in, make sure I stay on this apex around the inside. And out. Now, remember, if we want to extend our drift, if we want to maintain our drift, we're constantly using our throttle and our steering inputs to do the drift. So if I want more angle, I'm accelerating and doing less counter steering. If I want to grip up at the back, I'm coming off of the throttle and I'm counter steering more. It's just a mixture of both. That's why you're constantly moving your wheel, you're on and off of your throttle. Then you've got your brake, you're obviously slowing your car down, and your handbrake. Now on the way down, we're going to be dragging the handbrake on quite a few corners, so I'll talk you through that. So I'm going to clutch kick in from the left, swing it in on the outside, come in. Accelerate in, then we're going to handbrake this, use the momentum of the car to handbrake in. come off the power clutch. I've been using a more powerful one. Using 4th gear to push us wide. 3rd gear, take the right hand side. Clutch kick, handbrake. Now what we're going to do, we're going to sneak it in a 4th gear and let that power push us nice and wide. I'm turning into the bend to keep the back end out. Now this one, I'm going to accelerate, hold the handbrake. I'm sliding down using the handbrake. Clutch kick it, push through the corner, into 3rd, left foot braking, slowing down, handbraking around the corner, clutch kicking. Probably get into 4th to push the back end a bit more. Right, and I'm going to drag it again. Handbrake, clutch, slow the car down, left foot brake, and just accelerate through the corner. That wasn't the tidiest. I think what we'll do is we'll actually jump into the more powerful one, and we can get some nice angle. Now these are slow bends, so I'm going to use my left foot brake, slowing down, hands off wheel completely there just to show you. Ooh, clutch kick, and we messed that right up. Yeah, I've been practicing with the 1000 horsepower one. Should be slinging this around a bit more, taking it too easy in it. When you've got less power, you can really take the mix sometimes with a car. You can throw it into corners a lot harder than what you would with a car with more power. So I suggest using and learning with a car with less power. Anyway, we'll jump into the 1000 horsepower one and we'll do it again. Right. So 1014 horsepower, and it's a bit of a brute, but you can get nice angle and you can really catch the angle through some of the longer bends with this one. So I'm just handbraking through that. This is easy for the power, just to push the back end out. Bit of transition. See, once I'm going from left to right, I'm really doing that with my throttle and braking. I'm not really doing the steering. Sometimes I'll help it. Again. Watch again. Letting the wheel do most of the work itself. Using the foot pedals really to do most of the work. Unless I want to hold it at a certain angle. Drag it with a handbrake. I was going to cut that corner early, so I used the handbrake to help drag the back end around. Like here. So I'm going to cut that and hit the barrier. Oh, somehow didn't spin there. Again, use the handbrake to hold that out a little bit. Handbrake most of this into the corner. Clutch kick through and 4th, keep it 4th. Should have dropped that in 3rd really. But the car's got lots of power. Into 3rd mid drift. Left foot brake here and slow us right down. Choose the power push around. Turn into the bend, so push that back end wide, use the handbrake just to slide through. And then hold the rest of the drift on the accelerator.
You have arrived at your destination.
We'll do it again. What I'll do, I'll talk you through it. So clutch kick, swing it out wide, handbrake in, left foot brake and throttle, just to slow it down, bring the car under control. Spin it the other way, handbrake in, right foot brake in whilst the clutch is in, flip the clutch and the throttle, pushing it around on the accelerator, into 4th, loads and loads of wheel speed to push us wide here, probably too wide, 3rd gear, yeah, slowed down too much, we'll see get 4th gear to push us wide up here, all the way through the corner. Then the next one we're going to throttle and drag the back end. So clutch and handbrake, slide all the way through, clutch kick through, accelerate, down to 3rd, right foot brake in, let the back end swing, handbrake and brake, clutch, accelerating through into 4th, Again, do the same here. Throttle, 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 handbrake. Slide it through. Acceleration. And all we're doing is we're constantly modulating our steering and our accelerator, adding left foot braking to slow us down, just to maintain the drift. Don't forget, best explanation of drifting is a uncontrolled car in control. So you're constantly making adjustments. The key is obviously try and be smooth and let the wheel do the work for you. You haven't got to fight it. That's it, we're at the end.
You have arrived at your destination.
Right, so as I said to you, try and just practice and practice and practice. This is a skill. It's not going to be something that you're going to learn overnight, although I hope that this video will help you. And if you go back to my #1 drift video, they will show you the basics if you're new to drifting, and then just keep on practicing each step until you perfect it and then move up. Once you've got through that video, jump back onto here and then take some note of obviously the smoother steering, using the handbrake to then drag the back end through, using your left foot brake to slow the car down. Now again, in the description there will be links to how to grip tune. Use that for your springs, your damping and your anti-roll bars. Your alignment is different, your diff is different, and your braking is different on the drift car, but I will do a whole separate video on that. I will also put a link in there for the first video if you haven't seen it, and that starts, as again, from the basics. But I will be doing a series on drifting. I will be doing top 10 drift cars, some further skills to learn, and yeah, maybe doing a collaboration with some subscribers is what I'm looking to do. I've just hit 120 subscribers, and around about 200 I think I'm going to do a meeting with some of you on the wheel, and we'll all go for a drift up Needle Point or even in the city, depending on how many people join, and I will record it and I'll put that on YouTube as well. But if you're a new subscriber, if you're a new person watching the channel, please hit that subscribe button. If you need any help, put a comment in the box down below and I will try to help you out the best I can. Anyway, all the best, have a good Christmas, bye bye.